Welcome to Caleb Can't Read. I'm Jordan Rabel.
I'm Caleb Terrence.
I hope you're fucking ready for this.
I'm as ready as I can be. We've outlawed pre-gaming, so here I am.
And Frank Part 3, here we are.
Dude,
here we go.
No. That's not... I know that much, okay? Don't insult me. Try to trick me with
I'll
these
insult
cheap
you
shots.
throughout. I'll insult you whenever the fuck I feel like.
Every
you like
single
it that way
fat
anyway.
joke I can get. I'll be there.
Just adds another fucking pound to my body. He's getting too strong.
Oh, no!
I'm gonna slap your fucking sunburns.
Don't, please.
I won't. I'm not one of those guys. Anytime, there's always somebody who, like, as soon as you get a new tattoo, too, where they're just like, oh, flick, and it's like,
I feel like...
why? Why would you do that?
Okay,
I hate that
I've hit an
shit.
age where, like, nobody I hang out with is like that anymore,
Good.
thankfully.
Good. Fucking good.
And I work with probably the most immature people on the planet, and still everybody's pretty cool about that.
Yeah. I plan on getting a tattoo in November, so just keep that in mind.
What are you getting?
Don't do it. For October, maybe?
I'm not going to slap your tattoo.
No, it's
I only slap you when I'm really drunk and it's really funny. And then it's
And it's
never on the
mostly
face. And it's
Spanx.
usually because you lift up your own shirt.
Oh yeah, the pink belly.
Yeah.
My belly is completely callous now. It's like a fucking it's like a banjo player's fucking fingers, just like pluck. Yeah. I plan on getting a
That's not beer and fast food. That's just a pile of callus.
I'm the strongest man alive. It's I plan on getting a Moby Dick tattoo.
Go on.
I mean, we will hit Melvin Herman
That would be a
Melville
really
sometime.
funny tattoo, is a whale on a small penis.
It's the white whale.
I mean, I guess small penis is always funny.
I mean, I haven't seen her mock-ups yet, but I really like the artist Brianna McNinch over at Black Hole Tattoo at in Beaverton, represent. But I guess. But either way, she said that I gave her a presentation of like different tattoos that I was thinking about getting, and I wanted it to be something that like she would also feel confident in doing. And so she was like, "Oh, I know Moby Dick. I can definitely do this one." And it's going to be a representation of my favorite scene, which is when Moby Dick has a his final like jump up in the air. Captain Ahab like has stabbed the harpoon into the whale's back, and the whale drug him underneath the water, and he's so entangled in the ropes that when Moby Dick like crescents over the moon, there's it looks like Captain Ahab's dead body is like riding the whale. So anyways, that's what I want to get.
Where are you getting it, though?
Forearm.
Oh, that's lame.
Well, I know. I have actual ideas for like
Have
what I
the
want to do
moon
in
being
other
crested
places.
be like one of your nipples.
Ah, fuck, that's good.
Oh, dude, get it straight on your fucking pelvic bone, dude. Like, right over your dick.
That's where I'm gonna get reading for life and like big, you know.
Your asshole wouldn't work. You'd have to spread it every time you showed it to somebody to flatten it out, you know?
I don't remember him floating over a black hole. Anyway, well, let's get started, shall
Holy
we?
crap, we're going to have to do some editing.
No, we're fine.
Does Moby Dick have something to do with today, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Are we
you're
doing
a dick.
that? Fuck, what?
Paul Revere Abbey was born February 11th, 1901 in Donora, Pennsylvania. When he was 7 years old, his father John answered an ad in the newspaper and uprooted the family 68 miles away to a place called Creekside so he could start an alpaca farm. Paul himself took after his father.
There were ads in the papers for starting alpaca farms?
Yeah.
What?
How often do you open a paper?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Of course there are.
I wasn't paying attention because it's
1901 though.
Thank you. Okay, I was about to be like, wait, what year are we in?
Or I guess
Shit,
1908 when this happens.
1901,
But yeah,
1908. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
So Paul himself took after his father in finding odd jobs wherever he could, changing his career always and often. This had Paul jumping between states quite a bit. Without inspiration from anyone, influence from anyone, Paul found himself a socialist and an anarchist. But soon enough, Paul found himself among friends who invited him to a club of theirs. Quote, "Before I was a socialist, I belonged to the KKK.
I mean, look, I'm glad you made the shift, but I am shocked.
It's kind of a big shift.
Wow, all right. I mean, the guy's...
Back in that
All right.
time, Well, according to him, back in that time, everybody was joining the KKK. Pretty nice guys in there. So I joined up too.
There's nothing convincing about that club. They look like shit too.
You just want to belong. I guess. I don't know. Honestly, I've never done it.
This is the dumbest fucking... What about that could possibly be appealing?
We could probably drive an hour south and find a meeting tomorrow if you want.
You probably wouldn't even have to drive for an hour, Jordan.
That's true. Okay. Don't remind me of reality being that close.
Yeah, man. Sorry, my bad. God damn.
So, according to Paul, so I joined up too. Just a kid, you know? I went to one meeting and I heard the most miserable speech from the lousiest guy I knew. End quote. And after that, Paul joined the NAACP instead. Another pretty big shift, actually.
Yeah.
Now, Mildred Irene Postlethwaite was born May 25th, 1905 in Ringgold, Pennsylvania. She was a choir master and organist for her Presbyterian church, a school teacher, and a pianist, all at once. She had issues with holding still ever since she was little. Essentially, if one of her 3 jobs or housework didn't keep her busy, she wouldn't just sit down and chill a fucking minute or read a book or something. She would begin walking fucking miles, towns away. The people who lived in the same town as the Postlethwaite family would give them updates if they were passing by to let them know she was okay. They'd be like, oh yeah, saw Mildred 2 towns over when we were picking up tools, shit like that.
Dude, okay, I'm sorry to take us off track. I just remembered something that had happened to me that I have not remembered in years. I dated a chick with restless leg syndrome. And she didn't tell me she had restless leg syndrome.
Continue.
So you just getting into it, and then her leg starts kicking out all over the fucking place.
like a puppy.
But you're not asking questions because things are going your way. You don't want to, and then finally after weeks you're like, dude, what the fuck? Will you stop throwing your fucking leg around? She's like, oh, I have restless leg syndrome. Why would you wait?
Honestly, I didn't know that was a real syndrome. Yeah. I thought that was just a thing that people just said when they were
kicking off around.
I do like that, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Postlethwaite, is it a boy or a girl? Neither, it's a meth addict. Just walking and walking. Now, Mildred and Paul met on a streetcar in their little town at Creekside and soon married in the fall of 1925. Oh, Paul would be about 24 and Mildred around 20. Yeah, it's a good thing that you wore it sleeveless today, huh?
Fuck, dude, I wear it sleeveless every day, brother.
Yeah, I know. Mildred's mother was a school teacher, just like she was, and her dad was a principal. Paul's parents, on the other hand, were poor farmers, and Mildred's parents were far from silent about their star child marrying someone like Paul, because you see, her folks were worried that a poor man would make a stupid, cruel man. And sure, in your case, but Paul was actually a really good guy.
Fuck you.
Paul and Mildred would go on to have 5 kids, Howard, John, Nancy, Bill, but their oldest kid, born January 29th, 1927, and the subject of today's episode was Edward Paul Abbey.
I've never heard of this man.
That's fine.
Oh, wait, that's the point, isn't it?
Have you heard of Anne Frank?
We've been over... we're not going back to that. We're not going back. We're leaving that there as a speed bump. And not doing it or referencing it again. I don't want to talk about the Holocaust ever again on this fucking podcast. Ever.
Now, the Abbeys remain poor, but mostly because Mildred and Paul did things only out of necessity. Between their 5 kids, Mildred would often reuse diapers by washing them in a wash basin with a washboard.
What?
And then she'd use that same wash basin to cook their food in.
Did they have reusable... Okay, we're going to unpack this.
Okay.
I want to unpack this. So did they have... Were reusable diapers a thing then?
I want to say back then they were made out of cloth, but I mean they...
Okay, so picturing
they weren't
them
really supposed to,
Yeah.
It was easier to get behind.
Okay, so it's not that bad, but yeah, using it for food is a bit...
You clean it.
It's like, damn, bitch.
You wash it out.
It's like...
I do like, though, do you know
just
how
take it out back and spray it off with a fucking hose.
Man, you've got 5 kids and a husband and wife. You can cook a lot of fucking eggs and bacon in a wash basin. I mean, you have it there on the stove and a little step stool. You get up there and you just start fucking I've got all the fixin'. I can still be doing my hash browns, my eggs, my bacon, my beans, all in one go.
Is that even that weird back in the day? I mean, stories I hear about people's great-grandparents and grandparents, they all do gnar shit like that, though.
I've never heard this, so I'm gonna say it's weird.
Yes, it is new, but
I'm gonna
say
not
out of the fucking ballpark.
Okay, I mean, sure. We'll give them a pass. When they needed coal for the
weird,
stove...
but not out of the ordinary.
I still think it is. I think it might be. When they needed coal for the stove, Paul would go out into the mountains for the next couple days digging coal out of abandoned coal mines. Do you think that's fucking normal?
That's some pull yourself up by your bootstraps boomer shit to me. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's that generation's parents, dude. Yeah. That's how they all functioned. Like,
the Abbeys were practically vagabonds during the Great Depression. But when the Great Depression ended and food wasn't as scarce for the Abbeys, Paul refused to hunt, as there was no longer a need to kill an animal if there was something else for you to eat. So I guess they killed for necessity before, and then as soon as like they got out of it, he's just like, no, we're done with that. Like, I mean, we don't need that.
You could just say you'd rather go buy meat instead of fucking spend an entire day getting one grouse.
That's true. Yeah.
Actually, I can just go buy it now. So
I feel like Paul Abbey though would just be like, oh, we don't use guns. I just use my hands and my running feet. Like,
you don't use guns or boots.
Paul, we need pans and pots. We got the wash basin. We're running out of coal. Let me go dig up the mountain. Like, Jesus.
I'm not gonna lie, I respect this man.
Yeah. Their son Edward had an immense respect for his parents, as did all of the Abbey kids. Specifically for Ed, though, he learned to have a respect and love for books from his mother, and the philosophy and naturalism from his father. You see, Paul was a woodsman for a lot of his life, not just as a trade, but he'd actually add rooms to the house as more kids kept popping out.
Yeah.
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 Hell yeah, bro.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like,
and it was that respect for the forest that you would only take what you need that Ed loved. He also, for a time, followed his father's socialist, anarchist, and atheist views until he found his father.
Dad, we cleared 3 acres of trees. I have 10 more children coming. You only take what you need. Stop making it so we need so much. Holy shit.
Paul, we need condoms. Get out the sock. Like,
bring me the sheep.
So for a time, Ed followed his father's socialist, anarchist, and atheist views until he found his father too right-wing for his taste.
It's funny how that goes hand in hand.
Right? When Ed was 4, they moved 8 times in a single year. The one constant aspect of home, though, was nature. They were always surrounded by the woods, and although the family moved around a lot, meaning a constant change in schools, it did not mean that the kids lacked an education, especially at home, where Mildred would read to the kids after supper and play the piano until they fell asleep. Ed and his brother Howard started first grade in 1934, but Edward wasn't there for long before being able to skip a grade and go straight to the second.
Dude, this kid had a bomber childhood.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, looking back on it as a tale, that sounds great, but like,
rad as fuck.
Dirt floors and your mom just like, where's Mom? I miss her. She walked over to the next town. She got bored of your shit.
Oh, Mom's walking again. I don't know, maybe this just sounds normal to me because it's hitting kind of close to home, but...
I grew up in the soil and I lived in the dirt.
And I still do.
Now you get paid for it.
No, now I live in fucking crappy apartment surrounded by pavement that's about to be hot as balls with the heat wave coming.
Just cover yourself in dirt. It'll just cool you way down.
Shouldn't have showered today. Fuck.
So when Ed skipped a grade, according to his brother Howard, he always lorded that over him. I mean, that's just typical kid shit. Of course you're going
anything
to.
You can lord over. Yeah.
Yeah, anything. Yeah. But that was just because they were siblings. Ed was actually a very shy and reserved person in school. At one point, Ed was walking 8 miles to get his ass to school. Like, one way. He really was the epitome of, like, I walked uphill both ways in the snow, you know. Just like, I walked to the coal mine, helped my father, ate dirt, and, you know.
Yeah.
Once he graduated junior year of high school.
I've done that shit to get to jobs before.
Yeah.
When it got real.
I will say I did always hate the weather in Oregon when I wasn't able to drive.
No, do you remember when I was working for... Okay, fuck that company. You remember when I was working for Estes? And then they cut all of our hours, like, suddenly?
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to, like... I literally didn't even have money to pay for, like, boots. And I was like probably walking, not 8 miles, but probably like a solid like combined like 5 miles in between bus stations and things to get me out there like 3 hours. And then my boots wore out and I didn't have money to replace them. So I was literally walking barefoot just with a cover on the top of my feet that made it look like I was wearing boots. And I got trench foot from doing that in the fucking Pacific Northwest winter. Do you remember that shit? You remember the smell? Holy fuck, dude.
You know, it'd be really sad if it wasn't you. I'm loving it.
I like show up and just like jump on the forklift and everybody like look at my boots like, holy shit. I'd be like, what? Like...
Once he graduated junior year of high school, age 17 in 1944, Edward Abbey had the very possible realization that he may get drafted for the military as early as next year. So again, 17 years old.
Wait, what year?
1944. He's 17. He's gonna be shooting age.
A real spicy war, too.
So 17 years old, told his parents that he was going to hitchhike and train hop from his home in Pennsylvania to the Four Corners area of the United States, where Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, and Arizona meet, for those that don't know. And his parents were totally fucking chill with it.
That's me, I didn't know.
His parents were totally chill with it, specifically because that's what his dad did.
Like, yeah, I don't care. I got 5 more on the way.
That's what his dad did when he was young.
Oh, okay.
So Paul gives Ed a 20 and wishes him the best of luck.
A 20?
Yeah.
Oh, that took you pretty far back then, didn't it?
Yeah, but he's going to spend that shit on like food that he can't forage for in the, trashes, because he's going to box hop.
Yeah.
So,
there's always that option.
So
anywhere that has bread, there's always a fat amount in the dumpster.
Stealing from the fucking ducks. You're just hopping out of the pond water, just, mine!
I used to raid the Noah's Bagels. Wonderful.
They're dumpster?
It's everything, including dumpster juice.
That's
fine.
So in the month of July alone, Ed makes it all the way to Seattle. Upon first seeing the Rocky Mountains, Edward Abbey wrote, quote, "An impossible beauty, like a boy's first sight of an undressed girl. The images of those mountains struck a fundamental chord in my imagination that has sounded ever since."
Dude, I love
End
nature,
quote.
but it's never made me pop wood. Goddamn.
It does for this guy. You're going to get into that.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, he really loves nature.
You really fucking love nature. Now, he did make it all the way down to Four Corners, but on his way back, he got picked up for vagrancy in Flagstaff, Arizona. And when he got out of jail a couple days later, he decided, fuck this, and just took a bus back to Pennsylvania. And so this trip, I would really only call successful, not because he actually made it to his destination, but because he wasn't raped and killed by hobos. This trip made Ed an inspiration to his siblings and his classmates when he returned to school in September. I mean, of course it would.
Wait, how old is he again?
17. You're coming back senior year, and you're going to be like, hey, Ed, what'd you do over summer? And you're just like, fucking train hopped across America. Like, that's cool as shit.
That's impressive back then, but now it's usually reserved for trust fund kids.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Like,
hey, Jackknife Bill, why aren't we going to rape and kill this kid? He's a trustee. He's got his iPhone out. He's probably being tracked right now.
fuck you, kid. Nobody poor can afford those Carhartts. The fuck out of those overalls. Go back to the summer home.
In fact, each of his siblings made a backpacking trip across America inspired by him, except Nancy, who couldn't go because she was a girl, and she was always envious of her brothers because of it. Now, even though he managed to skip a grade...
So if she's a girl, they just don't give her the $20? Or don't...
They didn't let her, boxcar hop across America, no.
Not let her out of the cage? I don't understand.
Well, here's the $20. Could you please go wash the wash basin for supper?
No, I'm sorry. You need to stay here with us. Someone with money might marry you. All right?
Now,
I didn't make the system the way it is, okay? But we have to live in it.
Honey, it's 1944.
Now get back. I've got fresh hay for you to lay in.
This dirt is going to waste.
Please, I'm doing everything I can.
Now, even though he managed to skip a grade, Ed wasn't a prodigy or anything like that. He was kind of a B or C average student, really. But he was admired by his peers for his adamant reading. Pretty much a star pupil in English class and little else. And just like Ed predicted, he was drafted to the U.S. Army immediately after graduating in 1945. Luckily, World War II had ended with Japan's surrender just a few months after his enlisting. So he luckily didn't actually go to war.
Fucking, yeah.
Yes.
Nice timing there.
Yeah.
Shit.
He was stationed for the next couple years in Italy, though.
Oh, God. Somebody like that probably would have got back and literally just ran off into the woods.
Well, his dad once surprised him in 1947 by just showing up to the base one day. He asked his dad how he got there, and he's just like, sailed it. Like, he just fucking sailed the goddamn Atlantic Ocean on a whim.
This is the daddest dad.
He wanted to see how his son was holding up. So he just...
Honey, where you going? Like, I'm going to do sailing. All right, well, I mean, I'm not going to stop my walk, so... some of our kids are old enough to take care of him. Yeah,
gonna go check up on Ned. In reality, though, he stowed away at some point on a shipment of horses making their way to Italy and just fucking climbed aboard. So he was sailing there, but then he just kind of like, hey, where are y'all going? We got a shipment of horses to somewhere in the entire country.
Got any security? Not really. Excellent.
We're gonna stop off somewhere within the entire Italian nation. Sounds good. Just drop me off anywhere. I'll make my way.
There's no way he made the whole journey without somebody knowing, which
right. He asked. I'm pretty sure
somebody had to have
somebody
had to have fucking like come in there and been like, hey, there's a guy in there with the horses. Like, okay, well, we're already mid-route, so I mean.
He said he was hungry, so he just started eating their ticks.
Does he look furry-ish? Is this a concern? No, not really. All right, just keep an eye on him, and we'll throw him over if he does that. But like,
just please check him for a butt plug with the tail on it.
Otherwise, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, really, who cares? You know?
Yeah, it's fucking fine.
I'm sure you would have eaten the hay with the horses too, and just like y'all letting the horse piss go to waste. Like,
it's edible. Y'all just ain't chewing long enough.
Anyway. Ed became a desk clerk for the military and was somehow good enough that he got promoted twice. But the resident anarchist smartass, of course, didn't handle authority too well and was also demoted twice. In the end, he was honorably discharged from service because they found it was just easier to let him go.
Reverse.
They just found it was easier to let him go than having to actually deal with him. Like, his service was not up, but they were just like, did he break any rules? Like, no, but he's being a dick. Just let him fucking go,
No, but
please.
I'm tired of his shit.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Now,
why? You fucking talk to him then. Come back to me. Tell me if you're not on my level.
Jesus, that kid's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
See?
God, he sucks.
We made him a desk clerk and he's still an asshole. Now, Ed went to college, bouncing between the university in New Mexico and Indiana State Teachers College, where Ed stood out for not wearing ties and slacks, but wearing blue work shirts and jeans, back when the only people who wore those were farmers. And it was here in college that Edward Abbey wrote a little article in his school newspaper talking shit about the draft. And he immediately got put on a list by the FBI. This was also coupled with the fact...
The FBI?
Yeah, well, this was also coupled with the fact when the military sent him his discharge letter a year or so prior, he mailed it back saying return to sender. It was a pretty polite way of saying stick it up your ass. So they were just like, oh, he could be trouble.
all they succeeded in doing when they assigned him to office work was teaching him how to do passive-aggressive office shit. So now he's just got another layer of ways to be a dick.
Yeah, he's learning from decades of experience from his generals and everything. Later on in his life, when he found out the FBI had been tailing him and interviewing people he knew, he was so proud. He said, quote, I'd be insulted if they weren't watching me.
Well, yeah, especially if
it's pretty cool.
Especially haven't really done anything that illegal. Oh, wait, no. They fucking tripped out about communist and anarchist shit back then, didn't they?
Yeah. Immediately after World War II. So, I mean, yeah, he's an anarchist and he's got these anarchist sentiments. Of course, they're going to be watching him for sure. Now, Abbey eventually earned a bachelor's in philosophy and English in 1951, but stuck around to get his master's in philosophy, which he'd eventually earn 5 years later in 1956 at the age of 29. Before that, however, he would meet and marry fellow student Jean Schmeckel in 1951. Shut up. On their honeymoon in Scotland, Ed would begin an affair with a woman named Rita Deenan. Effectively ending his...
At the honeymoon?
Yeah. He effectively ended his first marriage before it ever truly began.
Dude.
He quickly married Rita the next year in 1952. Now, it was while he was in Scotland that Ed began a little writing project that would eventually become a full-blown novel. Released 3 years later in 1954 by publishing company Dodd, Mead and Company, who are no longer around.
I'm still on that. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. He's...
Like,
okay.
that's going to take me a second. Like,
hold on to that, because it's not really the last time. He's a bit of a womanizer.
On the fucking honeymoon.
Yeah. This guy cannot keep it in his
This
pants.
is the behavior of someone who needs to tell stories. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is a space specifically... This is a space and time specifically for you to fuck this one lady.
Well, why bother getting married?
How the fuck... What do you...
I get free trip to Scotland? I don't know. Like, do you win a contest? Like, fuck, I don't know. It's
like, I want some Scotland puss, but how am I going to get over there? Oh, that girl's family. Like,
I don't know. I guess I was in a hurry. Like, I don't know what the fucking why. Like, so, released in 1954, he releases his first book, Jonathan Troy. But it was one of those books that doesn't really know what it wanted to be. Like, Edward Abbey wrote a whole chapter that was all in one sentence, like Faulkner, or a chapter written like a stream of consciousness, like James Joyce. Thing is, experimental as the novel was, it had all been done before. Abbey was just emulating his heroes. And it's not like it was a bad novel, it just wasn't anything special. And that's by Edward Abbey's own admission. He said the novel was just plain embarrassing for him, had all the marks of a beginner. Ed immediately disowned the novel after its release, asking that Jonathan Troy never be reprinted. And after the initial 5,000 copies ran out, it never was. So I can't really attest to how just okay the novel was because I don't have the $3,000 to find out for myself. When a fan of Ed's later asked him where he could...
Someone has to have posted it online by now.
I looked.
How hard did you look?
Okay, fair point.
I mean,
he doesn't like it.
Sometimes the internet makes you work.
Yeah, I mean... I don't want to read Edward Abbey's first novel, honestly. I mean, to be honest, his later stuff wasn't all that great either. Like, I don't want to read his first.
Fair enough.
When a fan of Ed's later asked him where he could find a copy of Jonathan Troy, Ed told him, I don't know where you can find one, but if you do, burn it. Now, as I mentioned before, people didn't hate the novel, it just wasn't impressive. That is, unless you were from Ed's hometown. You see, the characters and locations in the novel were very thinly veiled, being based on real locations and real people that Abbey knew. For instance, the Blue Bell Bar is in reality the Blue Star Restaurant, and McLaughlin's Tire and Rubber Works is really McCreary's Tire and Rubber Works. He didn't try that fucking hard to hide it.
No.
The themes in the novel, of course, are all about the typical angstiness of growing up. And along with this is the typical response of hating...
yeah, that's why I didn't want anybody to read it.
Yeah, he's got the typical response of hating everyone. Remember how I said the characters are thinly veiled as well? Yeah, people were excited to read a book published by the one good thing to come out of their town of Indiana, Pennsylvania, only to find out
and then they got just like a lame Catcher in the Rye.
They found out what Ed was really thinking about them in their town. In some cases, he didn't even bother to change their names.
I changed the name of the town and the locations. Should be fine, right? Like,
how can you know that the character Jonathan Smithy is really
Johnny Smithy Schmeckly Poo?
Yeah. How can you tell that John Smithy is really you, John Smithson? Like,
and that was the effort put in. Sometimes they weren't even changed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. Yeah. So, Edward Abbey soon went to work on correcting his authorship with a second novel, again released by Dodd, Mead and Company, with a limited printing of, again, 5,000 copies. Released in 1956, The Brave Cowboy is about a man named Jack Burns who refuses to adhere to society with things like a social security number, a driver's license, or identification of any kind. He's basically a Marxist on a horse. Well, when it's found out that he's broken the law... Okay, it was taken over by different people these days, but yeah, back then that was a very, leftist thing. Yeah.
All right.
Don't worry about it.
All right, sorry, I'm not worrying.
When it's found out
Would you sip my
that
beer?
Jack Burns has broken the law by not registering for the draft, he runs into the Sandia Mountains of New Mexico with the police in hot pursuit. It's kind of like Rambo.
I'm in hot pursuit of a prostitute. Sorry.
It's kind of like Rambo, but with more chaps, basically. Anyway, again, this is a novel I know
I'm digging this already.
This is a novel I don't think, again, I'm probably ever going to read, but you know who did? Kirk Douglas. You know who he is? He's the old actor. Michael Douglas is his son.
No, man.
All right,
no,
anyway.
I got nothing.
He fucking loved it. For the next several years, he would form an all-star cast to get The Brave Cowboy made into what some called the greatest Western ever made. But that won't be until 1962. We're still in 1956 right now with a struggling Edward Abbey. And it's in this year that Ed had his first kid with Rita, his son Joshua, born in Albuquerque, New Mexico on April 12th, 1956. And it was about this time that Ed began picking up seasonal work as a park ranger at Arches National Park, back when it was only Arches National Monument, meaning that only the big rock arch was protected, but the surrounding land wasn't.
That's fair game, everybody. This rock that doesn't do dick, don't touch it.
Yeah, no, basically, it would mean that the tourists would regularly drive up, take a picture of the rocks, and then litter and drive away.
Fucking God, dude.
This was back when the town of Moab, Utah had only around 5,000 people in it. Edward spent his time there in 1956 and 1957.
5,000 people with the job of just cleaning up cans and jerky packages.
Unfortunately, yeah,
granola.
kind of. Edward spent his time there in 1956 and 1957 between the months of April and September. And if you'll remember that his kid was born on April 12th, 1956, it means he was a bit of an absent father. It doesn't sound like he was really around for his son's birth.
Look, I'm sorry. Look, honey, I'm sorry. This is the only work that I can find. I'm going to be away for half of the year. All right? My bad.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is that he had a great time at Arches. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm sure how that was
Refill me.
pitched, though, was not...
You know what?
Look, this parenting thing is a little rough on both of us, and I can't hang.
Yeah, you know what? If he took after his parents at all, I don't know if he necessarily gave her much of a warning. Like, you going off for one of your 3-day walks? This one's more like 6 months. Bye.
Bye. Brother?
Oh, yeah. He actually wrote extensively about his experiences there, which are immortalized in his greatest work, which we'll get to that later. Ed was in such awe of the desert, and he had some very philosophical views about our place in the universe because of it. He said that these monoliths...
Because of going insane in the heat.
Yeah,
that's... I'm doing right now, by the way. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Look at me.
Look at you. Look at me.
Look at yourself.
I am a sweaty jerky boy.
No. You were shining a minute ago. Now you're not shiny. Now you're just pale. Now you're like half-cooked ham. Ooh. It's not looking good.
It's going to make the Spanx so much harsher.
Stickier and cold when
No, because it's all wet, you know? I wear sweatpants naturally for like full time of the year.
Naturally?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean naturally? Like
chest up, I got nothing. No hair.
Just the sweatpants?
Just down, it's all chaps.
Are you saying that being restricted to only something with an elastic waistband is a natural phenomenon?
Hairy chaps. Ed wasn't... Ed said that these monoliths out in the park, they get humanized way too often. We call the monuments giants or gargantuan, and we shouldn't do that. It humanizes them in a way. We turn something we like around and compare it to ourselves. He says it's just downright disrespectful to nature. And yeah, it's just him being poetic, I'm sure, but I actually totally get it.
I can get down with that.
Yeah, these monuments have been around much longer than us, and they'll still be there when we're gone. We don't need to try and bring it down to, like, about ourselves. Like, oh, they're giant. Maybe we're just fucking small, man. You know?
Okay, now I hate it. When you break it down to that level. And we get all fucking yuppie about it. Like...
He was kind of a hippie before there were hippies, in a way. I know. Okay, all right, I know, all right.
No, you don't know. No, you don't have to deal with boomer ex-hippies as a tree guy. Okay, so you don't know.
That come up to you on your job. Like, why are you taking the tree down? It's dead.
Oh my god. Because it's splitting in half. It's splitting in half and I'm attached to it. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. God.
Well, I put it this way. There was a time...
It's splitting in half over your house. God.
You called us here. There was a time that Ed and another park ranger friend of his named Waterman ventured so far off the map that they ultimately discovered a new monument. These giant fingers of rock sticking out of the sand. And they're just racking their brains trying to figure out what to call them. And finally Waterman says, "Why name them anything at all?" asks Waterman. "Why not let them alone?" And to that suggestion...
Yeah, just call it the rock spot, dude.
Yeah. And to that suggestion, I instantly agree. Of course. Why name them? Vanity, vanity, nothing but vanity. The itch for naming things is almost as bad as the itch for possessing things.
Yeah, that's why you fucking, like, try to go... That same mentality, you go out and try to fucking, like, kick it, and camp, and hike, and then you fucking, like, round a corner, and a bunch of fucking dipshits have, like, grabbed all the river rocks and stacked them into statues, and you're like, can you fuck off, please?
They're doing a cairn kind of thing. Yeah, like, oh my god.
And you're like, stop with the fucking rock bouncing. You're like, why don't you just...
You know what? When you're done with your cairn, fucking put them back.
You know what the best... You could just not touch anything and leave it the fuck alone and let, like, just the beaten path that we've already left here that shouldn't be here, like, the only thing you fuck with.
To be fair, like, I was thinking about this, and I was like, okay, but say that you're lost out in the wilderness and you got somebody on radio, you're like, oh, thank God, I'm almost dead here, I'm dehydrated. Where are you? They didn't want to name it. I don't know.
Okay, all right. But can you give me longitude and latitude? I don't know what the fuck that is.
I also thought about,
I'm a millennial. I don't know which way's north, south, east, or west.
Don't make it a millennial thing.
Hey, no, seriously. Can you fucking tell me what direction are north, south, east, west right now?
Yeah, I look at the sun.
Are you... Wait, really?
It rises in the east and sets in the west.
Okay, where the...
You mean in the room? No. I can't do it without any fucking windows, Caleb. Fuck you.
I can't. That's always what I tell people when they give me directions and they start going with the cardinal shit.
Oh, I hate it.
I'm just like, dude, look, this has never been an issue for me, and I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Just go down 5 miles that way and take a right across that Wendy's. Just call
200
it 5th.
paces east, then west. I'm like, dude,
just call it 5th Street.
Fucking know what you're talking. Just give me an address. I'm gonna put it into my fucking phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, God.
But to be fair, I have thought about, like, what if they just name the monuments like numbers, like in the order in which they, but then it's like kind of like,
dude, no,
but then it's like cattle, so it's like, I don't know.
That's fucking fine. You could totally, there's definitely an alternate way to map things out without naming shit, though.
Oh, of course.
That could easily be fucking
But and then when I thought about it more, I was like, no matter what you do, there's always going to be some poetic shithead that's going to try and make it seem like, oh, really? We're going to do it that way. And it's like, oh, you know what? At the end of the day, fuck yourself, actually. I didn't consider that. Go fuck yourself. That's fine.
Wait, I'm not following.
Because if, here's Edward Abbey saying we're naming things and therefore we are possessing them and we shouldn't do that. But if we numbered them, then there's somebody else who says, oh, okay, just like cattle. Okay, well, how about we don't, how come we don't, what if we just don't name them at all? Oh, you know why? Because you're blah, blah, and the blame is always going to go back to that. Fuck you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's fair. All right.
Yeah, who cares?
All right, reeling that in, the names are fine.
Yeah.
I like the names, actually. What's important is that we don't fuck with it.
There was an explorer in the early days who every mountain that he discovered, he called Molly's nipple, named after his wife. We have tons of Molly nipples across the United States.
Go explore and name every new spot. Caleb's giant penis 1.
Yeah.
Caleb's giant penis 2. Jordan's fat. Caleb Giant's penis 3.
Why is every mound just called Jordan Chode? It's not funny. Well, almost...
Ah, yes. The ascent of Jordan's tummy.
Well, almost immediately, Ed found his employers, the government, to be his enemy here at the park. Not for anything you would expect, though. He found that the way the national parks law was written for their preservation, basically, here's the thing. Basically, the law says this: preserving nature for the enjoyment of the people. Well, turns out there are a lot of companies out there that are sticking their hand down the government's pants saying, hey, you know what the best way to preserve this nature for the people? Roads, man. We need to have more roads going to the best spots in the park.
Dude.
So what if we take out a few hundred acres of forest? Isn't it for the people in the end? Which, of course, will inevitably lead things to like, hey, man, how about we get a fucking Coke machine out here? The people enjoy Coca-Cola. Dude, that's what they do.
God damn, dude. No, that's a fucking, like, I got in a huge, actually not huge, a very short but heated text debate How we doing?
Oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Like,
It's just
a
looking at
very
your
short
penis.
but heated text debate with my fucking brother about this shit. Like, as far as like roads to national parks or like roads through like protected,
Yeah.
you know, wildland and shit. Like, because I was looking at offers for going and doing like a hazard felling as a job.
Oh, okay.
Around like going through like Northern California and like through the fucking redwoods because it like pays really fucking well. So pretty much, and then you're clearing away from like high powered lines and stuff, and then kind of going through and inspecting things and seeing if any trees are like about to fall over the highway there or fall into fucking lines there.
Yeah.
You know, and taking them out. And so I contacted him and I was like, hey man, I just, you know, because you know, I just shoot the shit with him as a dude and give him updates. I was like, hey man, like, I got this awesome fucking job opportunity. I'll be able to like go in and fucking, you know, deal with felling a bunch of old growth and doing this kind of stuff. And he shot me back. He was like, man, I hope you fucking fall out if you're dropping old growth. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Jesus, man, like fuck you. And he's like, no, stay the fuck out of there. Don't fucking touch the trees. I was like, look, dude, I wish there wasn't a highway running through the fucking redwood forest. But there is. I wish there weren't high power lines running through the forest, but there are, and they're a fire hazard now. So yeah, I'm gonna go in. If I can get hired for this, and they might not even take me because I'm not that fucking good. Like,
Caleb, I just gotta say, I hope you bury your children.
what? What does that even mean? What do you talking? No, explain yourself. No, fuck
No,
you.
nothing. I was
Fuck
taking
you.
your
You make-
brother's side. That's all.
Like,
You seem real scared, like, you know about my kids? Nobody's supposed to know about my kids.
no one's supposed to know about that one child. The secret child.
Liar, there's more than one.
But no, like, it fucking sucks that they're in there through right now, and now we have to fuck with it more. But hey,
Yeah,
man.
well, I also see this as, like, do you remember when there was that road that went through that giant redwood tree? It finally, like, died
Yeah,
off.
dude.
But that's fucked up, right?
Like-
but it's for the enjoyment of the people, and it's like, nah, the people shouldn't be
Also,
messing with
dude,
it.
oh my god, it died. I'm like, okay, yes, it has a limited lifespan, and also, you built a road through it. What did you think was gonna happen? You built a fucking road
I want
through
to be
it.
the first guy that has a gut gauge that just goes through my spine and, like, just a huge hole, like, through my abdomen.
Oh my god, it's a tragedy. No, the tragedy was building the highway through the fucking tree.
Yeah, the
you
fucking
idiot.
tragedy happened, like, about 100 years ago.
Like, holy shit.
Well, when a service park official was talking about paving more roads out into the countryside, Abbey disagreed with him. So he said, all right, what would you do about it, Ed? How do we attract more tourists? And Ed, who did not agree that more people should be showing up to litter and spray paint the rocks, said, is a long quote, but bear with me through the whole thing, all right?
The spray painting of the rocks.
Very well. At the main entrance to each national park and national monument, we shall erect a billboard 100 feet high, 200 feet wide, gorgeously filigreed in brilliant neon and outlined with blinker lights, exploding stars, flashing prayer wheels, and a great Byzantine phallic symbols that gush like geysers every 30 seconds. Behind the fireworks will loom the figure of Smokey the Bear, taller than a pine tree, with eyes in his head that swivel back and forth, watching you, and ears that actually twitch. Push a button, and Smokey will recite, for the benefit of the children and government officials who might otherwise have trouble with some of the big words, in a voice Ursine, loud and clear. The message spilled on the billboard.
In a voice Ursine.
Howdy, folks. Welcome. This is your national park, established for the pleasure of you and all people everywhere. Enjoy yourselves.
What
the
the
park
fuck
is for
kind
the
of
people.
Bioshock exhibit shit is this? Like,
And the official just kind of walked away from Ed.
wait, was that a joke he was making?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fucking great. Like,
Yeah, he was kind of off his rocker.
we'll have
but
Smokey the Bear with fireworks at the same time.
You did this. But unfortunately, most of the park rangers Ed worked with agreed with the big corporations that wanted to fucking bulldoze parts of nature to put up a gift shop. There was a ranger he was talking to who was just, like, upset with the lack of titties in the desert. I'm sure you could sympathize.
I'm upset about the lack of titty in this room. It's only yours, and it's not enough.
Howard C's not doing it for you.
No, those are mid B's at best.
Thank you.
I mean, that's
they
not
look
a
good in a
compliment.
bra, though. I mean,
No, it's just,
they look okay. But of course, the worst part to Ed was that there were people he couldn't call dumbasses, the tourists. All day, he would have to answer just the dumbest questions.
I mean, you can. That falls under you can physically.
All day, he would have to answer just the dumbest questions, and it was all he could do to keep a smile on his face. Say, Ranger, that's a god-awful road you got there. When the hell are they going to pave it? Where's the exit road? There is no exit road. You
Whenever
have to
we
turn
get the
around.
funds and it doesn't have to be put somewhere else, homie. Like,
So we have to see the same scenery twice? Where do you keep the arches? And my favorite, any dangerous animals out here? To which he would reply, just Taurus.
actually, bears.
He didn't tell him about them because he was hoping that they'd get
Wait, where
fed.
are we at right now exactly?
He said arches.
Yeah, where's that again?
Yeah,
we're in the
New Mexico.
Southwest. Okay, yeah, no
Yeah.
bears. Ah! What'd I do? Can you still hear me?
I don't want to, but
I
yeah.
thought I disconnected something.
No,
Sorry,
no,
my
you're
bad.
But of course, Ed put up with all of this because to him, nature could do no wrong, and he loved every second of alone time he got. There was a time when Ed had just made a fresh pot of coffee, opens up his trailer door, and sits on the little step in front, just enjoying the view.
Can't wait to have my first cup of coffee of the day, go violently shit into the woods.
When he finds that there's a rattlesnake that moves...
That's how I start.
There's a rattlesnake that moves into the cool shadow of the trailer step and just kind of falls asleep in between his feet. Knowing the rattler is quicker than he is,
Get the fuck out of here.
he just has to kind of enjoy his coffee a little longer than usual until the snake decides to wake up and leave. And he was okay with it. And honestly,
Dirty motherfucker.
Edward Abbey details the most unique reason to maintain national parks I'd ever heard. Because when the government becomes tyrannical, we as citizens can make our last stand using guerrilla warfare in the parks. It's the one place they haven't got any cameras.
Oh, it's so cute. That's before Vietnam.
We can just go out there and Rambo things up.
Yeah, because we don't have, like, explicitly designed whole brush clearing chemicals and human burning chemicals to just plaster things with. Man, what a time.
On second thought, yes, that is...
Yeah,
You're
that
right.
did not hold up at all. What was that called again? I'm sorry, I get all my Vietnam chemicals mixed up. Was that the Agent Orange thing?
Mhm.
Yeah, where they would
There were
literally-
other colors, too.
They're like, oh, you're going to use the fucking jungle. Well, now there's no jungle.
Who knew that bleach
And the ground
chlorine
is
could
poison.
just go so far? Yeah,
Holy
that
shit,
it is.
dude. Like,
All right, so Ed...
so yes, he was wrong there. But at the time,
no, it was a good
Maybe.
idea. I actually like that idea. It's a great idea. But yeah, you're right.
no.
The government is totally willing to nuke all wildlife if it means getting rid of...
If they want it bad enough, then they got it.
Well, just plant new trees. Fuck them.
Yeah, it won't grow.
So Ed comes back home to Pennsylvania, has a second son named Aaron sometime in 1959. Things are quiet. Boom! Here comes Kirk Douglas in 1961 with a new movie, motherfucker. It's called...
Whoa!
It's
Whoa,
called
Jordan.
Lonely Are the Brave, and it's fucking great. It's been adapted from The Brave Cowboy by Edward Abbey by none other than Dalton Trumbo, who we'll surely end up doing an episode on someday, and directed by David Miller, who did
is
a
he not
whole
dead yet or
bunch...
something?
No, he is. Who did a whole bunch of John Wayne movies. I want to read more Dalton Trumbo before I go into it, but he was like the blacklist against communist Hollywood
Sounds
writer and everything. Oh, he was great. I actually changed oil for his ex-wife. I thought that was really cool. I noticed the last
did you-
name.
Oh,
I was just like...
did you ask her?
Yeah,
of
I
course
asked
you
her.
asked her about
Of course
it.
I did.
Yeah, all right.
I got two good
bad.
responses from it. One was some lady whose last name was Trumbo, and even though she divorced him sometime in the 70s, she was just too lazy to do the paperwork and change her last name back. And then I met a descendant of Lillian Gish, who was like she was the 1920s actress. That's pretty much it. But anyways,
cool.
I thought that was Anyway.
Yeah. Proceed.
So, yeah, it's directed by David Miller, who did a whole bunch of John Wayne movies. People fucking love it. And Kirk Douglas says it's his favorite movie he's ever been in. So Ed uses all this new publicity to release another book called Fire on the Mountain. And nobody gives a shit.
Oh.
Again. Fire on the Mountain, released by Dial Press in 1962, just a year after the successful Kirk Douglas movie, is about a man's fight against the American government, wanting to expand their reach of their bomb testing site to the main character's land, like just as a bombing range.
Oh, yeah, because that's where they did that shit, right?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, yeah, no, it's a desert. There's no ecosystem here. It doesn't matter. Right?
There is for sure an ecosystem here.
No, there's no ecosystem here. Look, it's flat. Nothing's out. You're like, yeah, it's fucking 2 p.m. It's fucking like over 120 degrees. Of course nothing's out. They're like, no.
It's a good thing that there's plenty of wolves to get radiation sickness and cancer. So this was the third critical and commercial failure for Edward Abbey, and effectively caused him to retire. I mean, shit, 3 times you couldn't make a career out of writing. Maybe just hang up the old cum rag, you know? What I will say about Fire on the Mountain... No!
Not until I sell it on Reddit.
It's a good idea. I'm sure somebody...
Thank you to the Grease Lords who got that joke.
What I will say about Fire on the Mountain is it's kind of nice to see a story with no clear good guys. For a while, you imagine the main character is great because, you know, fuck the government. But then by the end, there's a guy from the Air Force who effectively tells the main character to go fuck himself because land ownership isn't real, and his concept of owning nature is fucked up, man.
Exactly. That's why I shit anywhere I want.
Anyway, there was a made-for-TV movie about it 20 years later with Ron Howard in it, and nobody remembers it, so who gives a fuck?
It's probably not great.
Probably
let's
not.
Let's be real. Wait, I'm a little...
The only good thing Ron Howard is in is when he's directing it, honestly.
I mean, Ron Howard again? Hang on. Where's my phone at?
Christ, man.
I feel like it's a mustachioed dude.
He is now. He was on Happy Days.
Was he always a mustachioed dude? Or was he like Wilfred Brimley, where the youngest he looked was,
No, he was the redhead in Happy Days. And then he became the director behind Apollo 13 in the Han Solo movie. Fuck, man.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Oh, there's his penis.
Oh. Actually, do you want me to Google his penis? Maybe it's out there.
I really don't want to. No.
I mean,
look, it's not the first time I've Googled a celebrity's penis.
It's not the first time I've Googled Ron Howard's penis,
But I don't want to see Ron Howard's penis.
I bet it's weird. He's a ginger.
It's got a lot of freckles.
Yep.
So,
why is this scene so much sun?
With his marriage long on the rocks, Edward Abbey sadly divorced Rita in 1965 after 13 years of marriage. And he immediately married a 23-year-old named Judith Pepper that same year while he was 38. Well, it was around 1967 that Ed started looking back on his good old days. Those were... What?
Sorry. What happened to the waifu, the old waifu?
I mean, he divorced her. His first one...
Why? The first one was the honeymoon thing. Second wife.
Second wife. Okay, so I can't confirm this for sure, but what I did learn from the great research author
Go on. Lick your
Wade.
lips.
Last name is Wade. David Wade, I think.
Oh.
The guy who wrote Serpent and the Rainbow. Fuck.
That's
I went
fine.
to a talk of his.
I'm not going to be able to correct you, so at least for now you're good.
What he said is actually a really good source of information is the divorce records of anybody that you're researching. For instance, for the longest time, there was one of the the first group to actually summit Everest is the talk that he was giving. For the longest time, people thought it was like a group of 7 people. However, there were actually 8 people. Everyone just hated him, and so they tried to scrub him from the records. He only found out about him
because shitty.
he married a Sherpa, and in the divorce records it was there.
There's like the one guy who was like way underskilled. They literally were just like all intern, like pulling him up the mountain, like, you fucking bitch.
So what I will say is this. Looking through like the divorce
I only know
proceedings,
I've been that man.
Looking through the divorce proceedings of like Edward Abbey, I just find it odd that every single year that he gets divorced, he's immediately getting married that same year, and it's always almost infidelity as the reason.
Dude, so it's fucking weird that like a guy who is cool with solitude to that extent cannot remain single in the real world.
No,
for
it's
any period of time.
It's weird. Why bother? Like, yeah, so anyway, he married a 23-year-old. He is 38, so 15-year difference there.
Okay.
Anyway, it was around 1967, around 1967 that Ed started looking back on his good old days. Those were, of course, his days in Arches National Park. No kids, no wife, no responsibilities. I mean, he did have those things. He just wasn't actively with them.
He chose not to deal with them.
Exactly. Ah, the good old days.
Yeah.
He was looking through his journals and sketches he'd made from around that time and thought,
I'm still here taking care of them. I am walking away.
he was looking at his journals and thought, fuck it, I still want to be a writer. And this part would come easy for him. All the material was already there.
Okay.
So he took the next year to edit and revise his journals, and the next year in 1968, McGraw-Hill Publishing released Desert Solitaire by Edward Abbey. Everything that I told you about his life in Arches before came directly from Desert Solitaire. The book was a huge success, not just from the literary circles, but from naturalists and some small collective of people that started calling themselves hippies, too. But Edward Abbey relented, saying he never wanted to be a naturalist writer, just a writer. And this book finally proved that he could write. He always had a clear passion for nature in his fiction work, but his theories and ideas were veiled behind characters and weird plot points. Instead, with Desert Solitaire, he was able to let all his emotions loose and tell the government to quit fucking with nature and to tell tourists like himself to fuck off.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
However, let's give a solid fuck this guy real quick, because he did indeed have a kid with the old wife.
He's got two of them now.
And now he's just
still
like
not
running off
them.
and like doing his own fucking thing, not mentioning them, just completely out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, yeah.
That's mad shitty.
He's collected them like Hot Wheels.
Yeah, dude. Like, you can't just fucking drop one and then dip. Like,
I'm sorry, but go ahead and when this is posted, listen on back, because yeah, you can.
no. What are you talking about?
You can abandon any
fuck.
kid you want.
I mean, you can, once again, you can.
You were.
You can, but should you? No. That is not the dynamic that happened at all. Do you want me to do this?
That's not how I choose to remember it.
Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do this?
Do you want to do it?
I will explain the whole thing. If
How
you
long
would
is it
like
gonna
me
take?
to. Probably about 5 minutes.
No.
All right. But that is not at all what happened.
Don't
that
get
just
defensive.
shows that you do not understand the
I'm just
dynamics
saying.
of queer families. Jordan, if you would like to.
It's a part of queer culture to leave my child in a trash bin.
No. All right, here we fucking go. Okay.
God damn it.
All right. No. Okay, my mom is a lesbian. My other mom, surprise, a lesbian.
What the fuck?
I know, right?
What?
Fucking wild. And whenever I tell people this and they're like, oh, well, what the fuck? Oh, what happened? I'm like, okay, cool. So instead of getting just like a donor or a donation, she just picked somebody out from her friend group who would be that role, who, by the way, my dad's fucking awesome. He doesn't have to do any of this shit.
He's hot.
He's still, fuck you. He still keeps in contact with me. He's fucking dope. Like, he's like,
Keeps it tight, too.
he fucking, I was in a tight spot. He like bought me a chainsaw once, even though like, yeah, you know, because I needed it for work. Anyway, he's fucking cool, right?
Saying the word tight around
So that's-
your father.
I fucking hate you. So anyway, my parents pretty much just got a donation, but they got it from somebody that they fucking knew was cool and rad, like my dad. So that is why I am here. Why are you looking at me like that?
Wish your dad would get me in a tight spot.
Fuck you, man. Fuck God. Damn it.
Now, as much
So
as
no,
he-
I was not abandoned in a dumpster. I was here for a purpose. It was carefully planned, and yes, it went awry.
It was a recycling bin, for God's sakes, and no glass was allowed.
You act like... Okay, my bad. No, that was a lie. Actually, what would fit me better aesthetically right now would be like, yeah, my mom was digging through a dumpster and she found a little bit of used in a rubber.
God damn it.
It was like, hey, we'll roll the dice.
Found a bit of glaze behind the Dunkin' Donuts. Now, God damn it. All right. Now, as much as he didn't want to be considered a naturalist writer, Ed and Desert Solitaire were immediately likened as a New Age Henry David Thoreau in his book Walden. Do you know anything about that?
I'm sorry, I was actually, something moved in the corner, and so I looked at it. Can you repeat that?
It's just a mouse.
It was
You know
actually
what?
my own shadow.
Don't... Fucking groundhog? What the fuck? Oh, great.
Movement,
Longer
man.
spring.
Anyway, go on. Or don't go on. Go back.
No, don't worry about it. Because honestly, the book was also compared to Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, which had come out just 6 years earlier in 1962. Silent Spring brought up the fact that the government was allowing the use of certain chemicals into pesticides and causing irreparable damage to the government or to the environment. It led to a public uproar over how companies knew these chemicals were harmful, but they didn't give a shit because they were making a profit. All of them. Pretty much all
of the companies.
Yeah. The release of Silent Spring led to the banning of the chemical DDT in the United States. Some people saw Desert Solitaire in that sense because of the criticisms Edward Abbey had about the government destroying lakes, rivers, forests, and canyons for their own benefit, hoping that the novel would lead some to take action. And it actually still holds up. I would heavily recommend Desert Solitaire to anybody with a penchant for visiting national parks. But there is one section of the book that's met some criticism. 2 chapters in particular, called Cowboys and Indians, Parts 1 and 2, talk about the displacement of Native Americans by the U.S. government.
Ooh.
He doesn't have the kindest words to say about how Native Americans are living their lives, but that's also because, and he goes into detail, we completely fucked them over, not just by genocide, but when we found out we couldn't kill them all, we made sure we set them up for failure. So some people have read Abbey's description of Native Americans.
That's a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, people read it and they think his depictions of Native Americans are a bit racist, but honestly, I don't think that was his intent. I think he was making more of a misguided observation than anything. Like, don't get me wrong, Edward Abbey is an asshole. I just won't go so far as to say he hates Native Americans. My favorite bad review of Desert Solitaire was someone calling it part Walden, part Mein Kampf.
Whoa.
Which it is not.
Look, I mean, I'm just taking your word for the record. I'm just taking Jordan's word for this. I have not read it. Maybe it is indeed part Mein Kampf.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to talk about it. But I thought that review was especially ironic because towards the end of Desert Solitaire, meaning whoever wrote that review never actually finished it, there's a story about Ed running into an actual Nazi at Arches. And he's pretty much just like, well, he was a nice guy, but I hope he crashes his fucking car and dies. Now, Ed and Judith had a daughter August 8th, 1968, named Susanna. But we don't really need to talk about his kids. I mean, he certainly didn't, so. Anyway, on December 5th, 1969, the year after...
There's one thing about this dude that sucks.
There's a couple. There's a couple things. I mean philandering and kids don't go into the same folder.
There's a few, but that's the biggie.
Yeah.
It's just like dumping children.
Look, if you want to abandon your wife, that's fine, but don't abandon your kids. Like that's
you abandon her on her own. She'll figure it out. But her aunt plus kids, that's an extra level of fucked up.
I dropped the kids off at your mom's house, and you know what, man? She was just fucking... She wasn't there for 3 days because she was walking.
By the way, it's the 1950s. You're also going to have to make your way to the mom's house.
Anyway, on June 5th, 1969, the year after Desert Solitaire was published, Edward Abbey was given the Ambassador Award by the Indiana County Tourist Promotional Bureau. This did not sit well with Ed. When he showed up at the banquet and got on stage in front of the audience, he was handed the plaque and he just sort of like toyed with it a bit, like looking it back and forth.
Played around, did some sick tricks.
Before tossing it on the table next to him with a really big like thunk and saying, "You must know I don't believe in professional tourism," before rambling about things like, "Get that goddamn traffic off Main Street and build a parkway down there." The plaque's ultimate fate was in his brother Howard's basement. I don't think I wrote about it, but I did read about another award where basically they tried to reach him for comment for another award, and he was like on a kayak, and they were like, "What do we do with the money?" And he's like, "Shove it up your ass!" Like,
dude, no, people. Okay, this dude cracks me the fuck up because he's like, no, we need to build parks. No, things need to be more natural. No, and then he has 2 kids. And you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, cool, get a vasectomy so we stop having to expand into nature then.
I mean, his dad didn't do that. There were 5 kids between the 2 of them.
Okay, so I guess from his perspective and what he's seen, he's
a bit of a conservationist. But I don't think he fucking wrapped it. That's the thing. I think that honestly, I kind of feel like these kids are a mistake.
I mean, I feel like this guy was probably... I get like, you know...
What? You get vibes?
Like mad vibes of, you know... mad puss getting vibes from this dude. So I mean, he probably rapped it most of the fucking time. Like, I mean, he got through one wife, no kid.
I think this is.
Well, that's because it ended abruptly.
There's number 3. So I mean,
no. He waited until number 3 to have the kids, or was number 2?
No, he had,
he abandoned. Right?
Yeah, he abandoned 2 kids with the second wife,
children.
and then this is his third, I believe.
And he has kids with her?
Yeah, with his third wife. Just one so far with the third wife. So he's got 3 kids in total. 0 with number 1, 2 with number 2, and 1 with number 3. I believe. I think that's what we were at.
All of this
it's hard
needs
to, keep
to
track.
be nature. Sick,
the guy
dude.
needs fucking
Let's decrease the population. No.
The guy needs a fucking deck of cards of like the ace of spades. Like I'm your son, John. Like, shut up, 2 of diamonds. Like,
fuck. Like, you get if your kids act like you, then we're gonna need more and more and more space, right? Like,
yeah. Well, he's not there to take up any space, so who cares?
That fucking shit is so scary. Like, that fucking, like, boomer mentality of just like, oh, well, I'm gonna be dead, so I don't care. Oh, that's their problem.
Oh, fuck. I hate that shit.
That whole generation's mindset is fucking us right now.
My brother's doing a fantastic job. You know why? Because I was like, Josh, you're getting up there in age, you know, and I was talking to him about this when he maybe turned 30. I was like, man, you're getting up there in age. Are you going to have kids? And he's like, I would never bring a human into this fucked up world. Like, I'm not going to do that to anybody. And I was like, all right, hey, good on you. You know?
Dude, yeah, no. Like,
somebody else will take your kid's place. Sure.
I'm kind of on that page right now, but mostly I'm just because of, like, I'm mostly, no, it's not even, it's not anything like that. It's just like, dude, how making like just like a normal income are you supposed to fucking do that? There's no maternity leave. There's no nothing. Like, what the shit?
Yeah, you have to be making an extraordinary amount of cash.
No,
to
just
actually
like
have a kid
practically.
with. Yeah.
Like, I can't, like, looking at the numbers, like, literally, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
like I cannot do that. You know what I might be able to afford? Payments on a vasectomy. That sounds more reasonable.
They can reverse that shit too, honestly. I mean,
yeah, I prefer like a large sum of money.
I'm holding your
balls
balls
I bet you
hostage.
they're gonna fucking tell you that's not like a medically necessary procedure, and your insurance won't fucking cover it.
The doctor's wearing your balls in a little test tube around his neck, just like, you'll never get your balls back. Like,
look, I thought you were gonna snip something, man. And he's just like, I did too until I saw them balls.
You got long balls,
now
boy.
I'm going to the secret doctor ball where only the men with the nicest ball necklaces. Wow, that got weird. Shit. Okay, yeah, two-parter. I'm getting drunk.
He's like twirling them around like those like little Zen balls. Just like, yes.
A bit weird with the larger one, but I make it work.
If they were even sizes, this would be a lot easier. It feels like I'm juggling.
I want you to appreciate the skill, like.
I had to look up a YouTube video for contact juggling. This is a lot harder than it looks. Now, while he's in the middle,
raw testicle just
starts fucking playing marbles. Just
the little connecty bit's still on it, slopping around in the fingers. You're just sitting there thinking you got a vasectomy, like, what the fuck?
Oh, Christ. Now, while he's in the middle of revising Desert Solitaire for its initial release, Ed's actually working on another novel, his 4th work of fiction called Black Sun, about an older man who is a fire lookout near Lassen Volcanic National Park and falls in love with a 19-year-old half his age who goes missing, and he gets blamed for her disappearance. Judy was pretty sure the main character was based on Ed, and the love interest was based on someone...
on the 23-year-old he married?
Yeah. And the love interest was based on someone he was having an affair with. So she asked him directly, and he basically said, yeah, so? This added a little strain on their marriage.
What are you going to do?
I'm going for a 3-day walk.
It was the 1950s. What the fuck are you going to do?
And Ed and Judy were actually kind of a good pair together. Judy,
Christ, this guy is a douche, though.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
God damn.
Judy accompanied Ed while he was a park ranger in the Florida Everglades and a fire lookout at Lassen Volcanic National Park in Northern California, just like in the novel. But of course, her being there didn't stop old Ed from messing around. It especially didn't stop when he had to let go of his belt loops to get her master's degree at the University of Arizona. And yeah, she knew. Pretty sure they all knew. And well,
yeah.
While he was riding Black Sun as a fire lookout at Lassen Volcanic National Park, this is what one of the firefighters at the nearby north rim of the Grand Canyon had to say about him. There was hardly a word from the North Rim Tower. Whether Abner, he thought his name was Abner, not Abby, was even in the tower, no one could say. He was a writer, and the only smokes he reported were the ones in his novels. He lived in a trailer behind the entrance cabin, but he was absent so often that he demonstrated that we did not need a lookout because having Abner in the tower was the same as having no one. The position was abolished.
Okay,
so he did some good.
We're getting close to fuck this guy territory. Like,
I mean, plenty of other people were.
Except they're not doing his fucking job. Like, oh, really? You fucking, like, care about you care about all of this so fucking much, and then, like, when it comes down to it, you're just not gonna fucking work and look to see if there's a fucking fire.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Just deeply.
or that there's people, like, waving him down for help, like, I'm dying!
Like, alright. Yeah, no.
Sadly, while Judith lived to see the success of Desert Solitaire, she wouldn't live to see the release of Black Sun. Judith died of leukemia on July 11th, 1970. When Black Sun was released by Simon & Schuster in 1971, Ed had dedicated the novel to Judy. This asshole actually dedicated the book based on his affair with another woman to his recently deceased wife.
Dude, this... Okay, wow. Alright. This was a turn.
Yeah.
For me. I didn't think I would end this way, but yeah, definitely hard fuck this guy. And you had me there once we found out that he didn't do his fucking job. Like, no, seriously.
That one hit personally.
No, seriously. Like, what the fuck? You're assigned there. This isn't just fucking alone time, dude. This is serious shit. And you preach that this is serious shit.
I mean,
and you're not fucking doing it.
He did add something to it in the fact that they figured that they could downsize their department by one whole person. Like,
because apparently we don't need a spotter there, man. Like, because this guy isn't doing his fucking job. Like,
and although the book itself,
oh man, I don't even want. Okay, I'm gonna breathe for a minute.
Although the book
that
itself,
triggered something,
something deep,
something in the work mindset.
Although the book itself sold 100,000 copies, nobody liked it, publicly or critically. One book reviewer for The New Yorker called it, quote, an embarrassingly bad novel. Despite the criticism, however, Black Sun remained Abbey's personal favorite until the day he died. All throughout the 70s, it was Abbey's nature writings that he would publish in journals here and there. Made him known, while his fiction was a kind of a dark spot on his career. You know, like it was the naturalist writings that people were knowing him for. He got married again, this time to a woman named Renee Downing in 1973. Don't really have much more to say besides that. Anyway, everything changed when he released his most famous book, and infamously his most inspirational work. Released August 1st, 1975 by Lippincott, Williams, and Wilkins, The Monkey Wrench Gang would go on to inspire eco-terrorist groups Earth First and the Earth Liberation Front. Even today,
I'm gonna have a fun time with this.
The term monkey wrenching is used to mean a form of sabotage that protects wildlife or the environment. And oftentimes when these people get arrested to this day, they still have the book among their belongings, with certain chapters obviously bookmarked. So without further ado, let's get into The Monkey Wrench Gang by Edward Abbey. What?
Are we stopping or are we going?
No. I've got basically 2 pages.
All right, no, good to go.
All right, yeah, let's do this. Now, the story begins with Doc Sarvis, a surgeon, and Miss Bonnie Abzug, his young assistant from the Bronx. They're on a bit of a vacation, touring the beautiful American Southwest, and either burning down or cutting down billboards that obstruct the view of nature from the roadside.
As you do.
It's not a bad, sure.
Yeah,
well, one night, they accidentally take a chainsaw to a metal post of a billboard and wreck the tool.
One night, they accidentally take a chainsaw to something with power in it.
The book just kind of ends. It turned out as a short story. More of a brochure, really. Taking this as a sign, they decide to put aside their Lord's work and do something fun instead. Maybe go on a rafting trip or something. And raft they did. The trip is run by a Mormon man named Seldom Smith and his assistant named George Washington Hayduke III. I mean...
He wrote that in? as a name.
Yeah.
Like, this is his own creative thing, and he was like, I'm gonna name him George Washington.
George Washington Hayduke III.
It's still funny. I'm sorry, I don't know. Like...
And I mean, he's kind of an assistant to Seldom Smith. In reality, Seldom just met Hayduke that day, and Hayduke seemed to know the river, so Seldom was like, why the fuck not? I'll seem more legit if I got a second, and he can help me load the gear. In reality, Hayduke was a nomad of sorts. He drank constantly, didn't really have a place to stay, would just fuck shit up in town and move on. For instance, right before the rafting trip, Hayduke hotwired a cop car, left it on the train tracks, stole the shotgun, and slapped a bumper sticker on the fender that said, "Have a nice day, schmuck." So yeah, he was a walking flurry of chaos.
Okay, so is this like a more witty version of the Manson family? I don't understand.
Actually, wait, 1975 is when it's released.
Does that line up? I have no idea.
Actually, yeah, kind of.
Does it?
Yeah, because I want to say Manson murders 71, maybe?
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, I could be pulling that out of my ass, but I want to say early 70s is when it happened.
Just this casual kind of violence thing happening.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
that's a connection.
This
I didn't
casual
draw, but
violence
yeah, kind
thing
of. Yeah.
combined with like that bullshit hippie culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Hayduke also just happens to do this particular crime in Flagstaff, where Edward Abbey himself was arrested as a teen. A good example of Hayduke's anarchy is the time he tried to start a bar fight. He goes up to the bar and shouts, "I'm a hippie!" in front of all these rednecks. And when that doesn't do anything, he's like, "I'm gay and on welfare."
I'm a gay hippie on welfare. Okay, by the way, the character is just like super jacked, so it caused them like pause for a second. And then, the final bit caused them like, okay, he can't take 10 of us.
Well, I'm on welfare, but by golly, I don't like his choices.
Yeah, by the way, like I've gone out and hunted and hung out and been with like, hard right-wingers and shit, just like out in the fucking woods, just because I feel like that's something you should learn how to do.
I feel like they were wanting to ask you something very sincere out there.
And none of them, when I told them I was a socialist or anything, would respond violently to me.
That's a good thing.
Or anything like that. Like, no, that's not a thing. People aren't just gonna fucking like attack you.
So as we've demonstrated in
or
this
if you go into a fucking
4
bar,
books or
it's
so,
not going to be a thing. Like,
he's not a great writer. Like, the reason his naturalist writings are doing better than his fiction is because he can write about things that are there. He can't write fiction.
I mean, maybe back in the fucking day, but now you don't have to fucking... Now it's not a thing. You're fine. Like...
Now, on the rafting trip, our 4 main characters see the beautiful sights of the Grand Canyon. And when they camp out for the night, they find a shared hatred for the conglomerates that want to destroy these natural sites for profit. In particular, the real-life Glen Canyon Dam and the fictional 3 bridges being built directly over the Grand Canyon to make it easier for tourists to take drive-by photos. I mean, that tracks with what he was talking about before, I guess.
That's not really out of the fucking ballpark.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not at all. Like,
in their built-up rage, they decide to fuck up a construction site that very night. More specifically, their big cats. Now, I'm not going to quote anything here because I don't want to get in trouble, but I will say that Chapter 6 of the Monkey Wrench Gang tells you what construction workers bring with them after their shift, so you can't operate their equipment, how to get around that issue, and all the ins and outs for where to drain oil as where to pour sand to fuck up the engine.
What do you mean you don't want to quote it? What do you mean where to pour sand to fuck up the engine?
Well,
fuck do you... It's you just pour it in the engine.
Yeah, but how do you get to the engine?
You fucking take the oil cap off.
From what?
From opening up the hood, which is not hard to do.
Don't open up the hood. That's what I'm saying. There is no
literally
hood.
Anywhere. Just shine a light on it. Look for a cap. Oh, hey, there's a cap I can open. Pour sand in there.
No,
that's not complicated.
It's actually more directly.
It's not.
No. It's more directly in the cabin. It's not under a hood. It's in the actual like little.
Fucking sometimes thing. Just break the glass, open it up. No. Most of those are no. Fuck you, motherfucker. You don't know what I know right now. Okay? No. Usually there's just little fucking plastic latches or little metal latches you just fucking pull off, and then you have access to the entire fucking machine, regardless of whether or not they have left keys in there or not, and you can fuck with it as you see fit, and it doesn't take enough creativity. It doesn't take a lot of creativity to figure that out. Just put it in a hole.
Chapter 6.
It's stupid. You're stupid. It's very fucking easy.
Well, sure, maybe nowadays, honestly, but back then, this is... Okay, so
What the fuck?
No, we're going to go into it within the second episode itself as how this was influential.
Christ,
but
just take an axe and hit a hydraulic line. The whole thing's fucked.
No. But that's the thing, is they actually do that at first. They do these things more like, basically their process is, at first they fuck shit up to the point where, like, anybody walking onto the construction site can see the huge like pool of oil underneath, and they're like, somebody fucked with this, and then they find out what's wrong and they fucking replace it. However, if you're able to pour sand into the engine and like hide evidence that you did it, once they run it, it goes through every fucking gear.
You're not gonna hide evidence of putting sand into a fucking engine.
Why not?
Okay, maybe initially when the operator, when the driver gets into it, he's going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been doing my written check on this every day. I don't understand what's going on. And then they're going to have their mechanic out. And then he's not going to want to pull apart the engine and inspect the entire thing because he can't. Right? And then they're going to be sending it back to manufacture. And then they're finally going to be like, hey, there's a bunch of fucking, like, sand in this shit that's fucking weird. It's... I mean, it'll stop it for a long ass time, but it's
yeah. Well, that's their point. It doesn't dismantle the whole machine forever, basically. But how do you drive a big cat once you've hotwired it? You may ask. No worries, because Seldom Smith teaches Hayduke how to drive construction vehicles off cliffs in Chapter 6 as well. Again, I would never condone these actions. I just don't mind if others
put a brick on the throttle.
No, yes, but I mean, they. Here's the thing: is like back then, the only way that you could find out how to operate these vehicles was from somebody else who knew how to operate them. That's
how it works now.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying though is this is the first time that this was a work of fiction that at the same time within its chapters told you what exactly to do to fuck over construction sites.
Okay, do they get that they're then going to respond by manufacturing and bringing in more vehicles and then wasting more resources?
Yeah. They bring it up. It's a thick book. Okay, don't worry about it. I'm just saying.
Sorry.
It's so defensive. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not being defensive. We just entered a realm where I know a thing or two for once. It's like... You know?
Well, did you know? No, I didn't, but it doesn't matter because it's not.
Now
in this
I'm going to
book.
educate you.
This book is from 1975. I don't care.
Oh fuck! God damn it! Oh man, this is going to be a misguided environmentalist boomer Bible, and I can't fucking wait for the last 2 pages that we're then going to end it on being like an hour. Like, let's fucking go.
Actually. Edward Abbey got interviewed once about how the novel might excuse the actions of eco-terrorists. He said he would never commit crimes like that, but if someone else wanted to, he'd be there holding the flashlight. Anyway, the sabotage at the construction site quickly escalates to the next plan.
The same.
That's the joke. It escalates to the next plan, derailing a logging train. They blow up the tracks with dynamite, nearly killing the conductor in the process. For some reason, they thought that the train would be unmanned, and trains are just remote controlled these days.
Why would they?
I don't, because it's a work of shitty fiction. But upon finding that they've really only delayed the logging process by a couple of weeks, the Monkey Wrench Gang thinks, fuck it, we really are going to need to blow up these bridges over the Grand Canyon to make a difference. All the while, the dastardly Bishop Love is trying to foil the Monkey Wrench Gang's plan. Not because he actually gives a shit about any destruction of property, but because years ago...
his writing might be good, but as far as like character names and things go, he's like on Scooby-Doo level.
Yeah.
Like...
Bishop Love wants to foil the Monkey Wrench Gang's plans. Not because he actually gives a shit about any destruction of property, but because years ago he sunk $1 million into a land development project, and Mr. Seldom Smith from his own parish staged a protest that got it all shut down. And it's Seldom Smith that Bishop Love believes is behind all this. Not that he has any proof, he just wants to see Seldom get stabbed in jail. At one point, Bishop Love has a car chase.
Among other things.
I'm going to show you why they call me Bishop Love. My real last name is Johnson. At one point, also going to show you why they call me Mr. Johnson.
Also going to show you my Johnson.
At one point, Bishop Love has a car chase with Hayduke, chasing him up a cliff. And the cliff has a bit of like a bend at the top, so you can't see all the way to the edge. You know, it's not like a cartoon where there's just a cliff out there at a fucking perfect 45-degree angle. So Hayduke's trapped up there in his Jeep, right? But Bishop Love and his boys know Hayduke's a fucking wild card and armed. So they slowly, cautiously work their way up there, hoping to get the drop on him. Oh, and by the way, Hayduke's a fucking ex-Green Beret and riddled with PTSD from Vietnam. So I want you to imagine that scene from The Last of Us 2 where you're working your way up that sniper on the highway. You remember?
Yeah.
Good. But by the time Bishop Love...
Good game.
It's fantastic. Shh, baby, I know it. But by the time Bishop Love and his boys get up there, Hayduke and his Jeep are completely gone. He winched his Jeep around a fucking juniper and free rappelled his whole ass car down 100 feet.
That's not how that works.
Shut up. Yes, it is.
That's not at all how that works.
I love, like, when I read this for the first time.
You might as well have said that, like, he pulled out a wand and casted some dumb shit.
When I first read this in when I was a freshman in high school, and I thought it was
not
like
a juniper, dude.
I thought, yeah, exactly. I thought it was like the coolest book and everything, and I was all into it. I was like, fuck yeah, like down with the fucking construct. And then when I reread this, like, it's been a while, you know, and I reread it for this episode, I was like, the juniper.
No, not just the juniper, but just the fact that, like, yeah, and then he rappelled down with the juniper. And then got his cable back magically. Like, what? Was it? Did he hook it? How much cable did he have? Did he hook it around it so he had double the length?
Basically,
to get down?
There was enough slack that he just kind of like shook it up and down, and it like unwinched itself at the top, and then he just pulled it.
Fucking real elvish cable. Like, what the fuck?
Is it like a fucking anime character that could just like, just pull it back?
You could just feel the cable. Get it to unhook. And then not hook on anything else on the way down.
Like cable. After a long process and successfully blowing up the bridges, the gang's final bout with Bishop Love is like the ending to Moby Dick, with a 3-day chase ending with the Monkey Wrench gang being caught, except Hayduke, who was shot off a cliff in the middle of the night during a gun battle. But without real evidence of any involvement being more than circumstantial, everyone gets a light sentencing. Basically house arrest. But Hayduke secretly lives to wreak havoc in the American Southwest forevermore. The Monkey Wrench Gang would go on to be Edward Abbey's greatest work of fiction, no doubt about it. And
that's the greatest? Well, this guy sucks.
He's a great writer. Again, not when he's trying to make things up. He is known for his naturalist writings, but this is also his most influential book. Very infamously so. You know the difference between infamous and famous?
I feel like this guy has inadvertently caused a lot of problems for me.
We're going to find out about that in the next episode.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's going to be next episode.
Yeah. We got to bring that rage meter down, son.
We're not tackling that 4 in. No.
I'm going to get you a special pile of drywall for the next.
No, just like, okay, go on, please.
My sources today.
How dare you? I would never hit drywall. I would do something that wasn't specifically Kyle-ish, like throw something or flip a table or
cry.
No, that's Kyle-ish.
My sources for this episode are Desert Solitaire by Edward Abbey, Random House Publishing. I think this edition is either from 2019 or 2020, not sure. The Monkey Wrench Gang by Edward Abbey, Avon Books, 1976. The Fool's Progress by Edward Abbey, Henry Holt & Company, Inc., first edition, 1988, abbyweb.net, and Wikipedia. You can follow us on Twitter at Caleb Can't Read. You can go to our website and look at wonderful wife art by my
wonderful
wife.
Waifu art?
Good. My wife.
Your waifu?
She is indeed my waifu.
Okay, yeah.
Is it because she's Asian?
No, it's not because she's fucking Asian, Jordan. We've been over this off on the record, but now that we're here, no. I'm not calling her the waifu because she's Asian. I'm calling her the waifu because you don't have a wife and you do, in fact, hug and fuck a body pillow every night.
Are you calling her my waifu because I run out of breath at the end of the syllable? My wife.
You run out of breath at the end of every syllable. You fat bitch.
Welcome.
Welcome. Dude, no, do you?
No. We're not naming names here. We both are thinking of. We once knew a guy whose voicemail was just he was running out of breath at the end of his voicemail.
It's not gonna be funny. No, it's inside joke territory there.
Just
so
open it up.
Hey, so we're in Portland, Oregon right now, or at least the Portland metro. We're
Currently
Beaverton, Oregon. So
Are we starting a festival? What are you announcing?
No, just we've been releasing this like weekly, and then we're planning on taking like a month or 2 month break, like as a season and everything.
Yeah,
we have
10 authors.
Yeah, we have damn it,
2 episodes left.
2 episodes. Thank you, bro.
Yes, we're gonna finish up Edward Abbey here, and then we've got the one that was originally going to be like our 8th author for our season finale. The week after that one,
where we will be bringing in a guest.
Yes,
but because I fucked it up just so hard. I just fucking just picture a desk with everything well organized, and I just pulled out my penis and just slapped it all over, disorganized everything.
Exactly like that. Not a whole lot of damage,
drunkenly,
but still gross.
Like a lot of damage slapping around, but still small somehow. Anyway, we were not accounting for this fucking heat wave, though.
Yeah.
So that might not happen. We might be
maybe, yeah,
taking a fucking break.
Our next episode, I have one room in my house that's air conditioned, but I'm afraid of what it might do to the audio, where it's just like,
like it's kind of like over 110 predicted for the next few days, and that might fucking throw a wrench in the weekly release thing. So I'm sure everybody understands, like, because we're not used to that shit here.
The one guy in Houghton, Ohio is just pissed beyond fucking belief.
It's like, God fucking damn it!
He's just out there just fucking breaking car windows.
The one thing keeping him from just shooting up the whole neighborhood is this podcast, and now we're responsible.
Any final thoughts for this one?
Final thoughts for this one? I don't know. I was on board for this guy and stoked, and then abruptly not.
I just wish that his dad wrote something so that we could just follow him.
I cannot.
His dad's just fucking drilling holes in mountains with his own penis.
I am right now, honestly, for part 2, which looks like a smaller stack.
It's going to be smaller. Yeah.
By the way, which I'm thinking is a smaller stack because my ass is about to go off on a bunch of that shit because of what I do for a job.
Yeah. You're gonna lengthen it. That's okay.
Yeah, like quite a bit. Like there's no way there's more than like
when we first started, I had everything ready for the season plus a couple of episodes for the second. I thought we could get through 20 pages in a single episode, and then I later found out, like after like 2 episodes, that's not realistic. So so it's pretty much 10 pages an episode is what we get through. So so I mean, yeah, hey man, it might be a smaller stack, but we'll fucking see.
We'll fucking see. Yeah, I mean, it's better than that.
I feel like you're gonna have a lot to say about this.
Probably. I'm already like amped up. I got a lot of shit to say to you just tonight. I'm fucking turned. God damn it. Like, well, I'm ready to talk about our arboriculture. I'm ready to talk about road clearance. I'm ready to talk about all kinds of parks that have been destroyed by people when they weren't listening to his shit. Like,
and I guarantee you, at least a few of those people had a monkey wrench gang.
You have ventured into my realm, sir. Normally, this is your space, and now it has crossed with mine.
You came into my world.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah, fuck it. I got nothing else. You all right?
Yeah,
good?
No, I'm fucking good to go.
I'm not satisfied with the videos I was watching. I want to see more nerds at Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments flipping tables.
Oh, absolutely. We only saw the one guy flip a table.
Yeah, and of course it was Boogie. I mean, we got to venture out to more people.
Expected. Like, I see the guy and I'm not surprised. I'm not happy. I'm just like, oh yeah, no, that guy.
I hear
flips
he's doing
out.
Well though. I mean, good for him.
Well, what were we talking about though? Like, because the immediate response, I was like, okay, well, I would just like crack up laughing. And you were like, no, they're actually quite strong when they're that fat.
Oh, yeah. What about it?
Because it's like, why doesn't anybody just like slap him?
Okay.
Yeah.
But where are you going with it? Are you hoping to see videos
Well,
of
I'm
them
hoping that you
slapping
will
each
pick
other?
up a little bit of, I'm hoping that you will play off this, as a matter of fact.
I can't because it sounds like you're giving me a suggestion, but I don't know what you're suggesting. Anyway, well, hey, see y'all later, I guess.